Hello, and welcome to this quick overview of quantitative data collection and sampling for educational research. Quantitative data are numerical indicators of presence or absence and quantity or quality. There are four main methods of data collection in quantitative educational research: tests/instruments, questionnaires/interviews, observations, and constructed and secondary existing data. With tests and instruments, participants complete measures of ability or other constructs like motivation or beliefs, or they can be asked to perform a behavior to demonstrate their ability or degree of skill and are then scored on their performance with a measure that's filled out by an observer. Now, questionnaires are used to have participants self-report answers to questions with quantitative values like age or level of education, along with responding to sets of instruments like the ones I just described. In this way, a questionnaire can really just be viewed as a collection of tests or instruments along with more simplified quantitative measures. If the questionnaire is conducted with an interviewer asking the questions themselves, it's just considered an interview. With quantitative observation, the researcher is observing participants to collect quantitative data. For example, counting the number of times students in a group speak up or ask questions during a particular task, or something more complex like monitoring eye movements while students work through a test of cognitive ability to be able to analyze for patterns that might correlate with how they perform. Sometimes quantitative observation happens after the fact with audio and visual recordings. Constructed and secondary quantitative data can come from things like course websites, where learning management systems now record things like how often students visit the site, or from having students create responses that are then coded to be able to count things like number of times certain concepts are mentioned, or maybe specific errors that were made. In quantitative research, in order to generalize results from the analysis that we do, from the samples of participants that are involved in a study to the target population, the population that the study is designed to generalize to, the researcher must take steps to ensure the samples are representative. In order to do this, random sampling must be employed. Random sampling means that everyone in the target population has an equal chance of being selected to be a part of the study. Simple random sampling is akin to the concept of drawing names from a hat. Systematic random sampling is selecting people for a study by choosing every kth person from a randomly sorted list. You start by determining the number of intervals k needed to get the sample size needed, and then you randomly pick a number between 1 and k, and then finally select your participants. Stratified random sampling is when you split a population into mutually exclusive groups like male and female, and then you randomly sample within those strata. In educational research, it's often the case that participants exist in clusters like schools or classrooms. Cluster random sampling is the idea of randomly selecting clusters to take part in a study. Now, all this said, implementing true random sampling is often almost impossible because target populations are too massive and too difficult to access. As a result, a lot of quantitative educational research, or quantitative research in general, is done with samples of convenience, volunteers from the accessible groups of target populations. When this is done, it's important for researchers to collect good demographic data about the participants so that results can be framed as being generalizable to individuals that are like those who took part in the study. That's all. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.